My real mother found out about me and wants to get in touch with me again, but she has some requirements. I was adopted when I was young, and they did a DNA test. I became a 24M when I was adopted when I was 6 years old. Taking me in when they were in their late 20s, my adoptive parents have always made me feel very lucky. They have been nothing less than amazing. They have loved and cared for me as if I were their own child, and I have never felt like something was missing in my life because I was adopted. It wasn't something I thought about much when I was a kid. I know that social services took me away from my first family because they abused and neglected me, but I don't remember anything about my life before I was adopted. I haven't thought about it much because I've never felt like I needed those missing pieces to be worthwhile or whole. I just bought one of those DNA testing kits to use at home because I'm interested. I only wanted to know more about my DNA past. I wanted to know why I was separated from my original family and if there were any health risks I should be aware of. I wasn't looking for a meetup or any other kind of serious relationship. I thought it was a low-risk way to find answers because I wasn't expecting to find someone who was directly related to me. 8 weeks after turning in the kit, I finally thought to check the results. I was shocked to see that I matched with BM, who is my biological mother. She left me a message to tell me how happy she was that I had passed the test and how much she wanted to get in touch with me and my real family again. She told me that she thinks about me every day and that I have always been loved. I didn't know I had a real little brother who was excited to meet me. To be honest, her message was too strong and made me cry a lot. Since I don't know her, reading those words made me feel uneasy. It took me a long time to write BM a careful reply in which I told her that I appreciated her letter but had no plans to get in touch with her or any other member of my original family. It was very clear that I was only getting information from the DNA test. Aims at. That's all I wanted to know: my past, why I was taken away, and maybe some medical information. I told her I was sorry if anything I did gave her the wrong idea. But BM would only give me all the information I needed if I agreed to meet her at a coffee shop to talk more about our link after reading my message. I said no, and told her that I didn't feel comfortable talking to her in person. To find a middle ground, I offered to get in touch with you, but I made it clear that all I needed was the information so that we could both move on with our lives. She wouldn't give me any information until I agreed to meet with her in person to talk about our friendship. When I told my best friends about this, she agreed with BM and told me I wasn't being fair. She told me that by signing up for the DNA site, I had pretty much invited this kind of situation, and that not meeting with BM right away would be the same as playing mind games with them. After signing up for the DNA test online, I would say that I didn't want to be close to my real mother. Relevant comments, to which the OP replied. May 1987, Queen __. No. She's not telling the truth when she holds your information hostage to get you to meet with her. She probably. That's why you were gone. She wants to tell you her side of the story. Since you know what her name is, could you get in touch with the group that made you leave and ask them what happened? I guess I could have called social services and asked them for help, but I'm not sure how much they can say because of data privacy rules, so I thought this would be easier. If you know what I mean, it would have been helpful to hear it from my family as well. Being an orphan myself, Ryodek, I fully back NTA. You don't owe her anything. I think she should have told you more though. Because of anything she did that led to the adoption, she is terrible for keeping that information hidden. That person you know is completely to blame, and it doesn't surprise me that they think that way if they weren't adopted. Lots of people who aren't adopted have strange ideas about how adopted people should feel and act. What most people think is, because they saved our lives, we should all be grateful to them. Well, no, they are not adopted, and yes, I can explain how they see things. They made me mad by calling me unfair for not having a relationship, even though I've never tried to get one with them. I feel bad that BM messaged me first after seeing me there because it might have made her think I was better than I really was. I wish I could have been the first person to write and tell them right away what I expected. Here's another adopted parent, Special 77, NTA. I did feel bad about meeting my bio mother for 16 years afterward. Mine is selfish and sneaky, and I use the same trick. I say I'll tell you everything when I meet you, but I don't. Stay away from the activity. What does it feel like to be cast aside? She told me only parts of the truth, and she's tried hard to get into my life, even when I made it clear that I didn't want her. Egg donor. Hello from an adult in my life. I now have my own kids. My parents were truly wonderful people. I didn't have the best life ever, but I was raised by people who loved me and only wanted the best for me. It's tough because you're BM and you have different standards. What's wrong is that she is being cruel and impossible by holding the information you want hostage. I'm sorry if you have to deal with it. It's not right of her or fair of you. Finally, I understood that her story probably wouldn't have been the whole truth. Still, I was interested in hearing it from her directly. I guess I was interested in her and her life, but I wasn't ready for a romance at that time. The second child's age was unknown to me, but I might have been open to meeting him even if those conditions were met. It said that I wouldn't have said never. The fact that she tried to force my hand made the whole thing uncomfortable and gave me a bad taste in my mouth. I think I've decided to write her written a goodbye letter complaining about how I didn't like being told I could only know that information if we met in person and talked about starting a relationship. I think I'll call it manipulating. It became even clearer to me that I don't want to talk to her after that. Could that be too much? I'm not going too far when I tell her that, am I? Monday, August 27th, 2024, Part 1. Hey everyone. It had been about 9 days since my last post, so I thought it was time for an update. Thank you so much to everyone who took the time to leave comments and offer advice. Everything I've read has taught me something new and helped me. So, after giving all of the ideas a lot of thought, I chose to talk to my real mother again, hoping that maybe if I explained myself better, she would be able to see things my way. Things quickly got worse, which was a shame. She was even more deceptive when she said I was selfish for not wanting to meet her in person instead of trying to work things out with her. She wouldn't give me any information unless I agreed to her terms, so I told her no. Now that everything is over, I think my first family might not be as bad as I thought. Even though I was taken away from their care for a reason, I think a part of me still cared that people could change. Looking back, I kind of feel stupid for starting this adventure in the first place. What happened made me feel a lot of things I wasn't ready to deal with, and to be honest, the whole thing makes me sad. What about my best friend? It looks like that was yet another failure. She hasn't just been unsupportive throughout this whole thing. She didn't just side with my real mom at first. I told her about the last conversation, but she didn't seem to understand why I was acting so sad. I should not be so critical, she told me, and should instead give them a chance. I think she never really got how hard this is for me because she doesn't seem to understand. It's hard because I've always thought of her as one of my best friends, but I'm not sure I can trust her right now. After everything, I chose to talk about everything with my adopted parents over a meal. As always, they were great, but I hadn't really let them in.
Around how much this hurt me. They told me that none of this was my fault and told my real mom that they didn't like how she was acting. They helped me remember that I was taken out of that situation for a reason. And it's not my job to make things right with people who haven't changed. We talked, and it made me realize how lucky I am to have them. They have shown me that they are my real family because they have always loved and supported me and been there for me no matter what. With everything that's happened, it's hard not to feel sad, but having them by my side does help a little. I really wish I hadn't started this whole DNA adventure. I had no idea how much pain it would cause. And I wish I had just left the past behind. In the same breath, though, I'm glad it made me realize how lucky I am to have my adoptive parents. For being there for me through everything, my family is the best thing in the world. That's where I am now. The ones who really care about me will get my attention while the others are let go of. It's not easy, but I know I'm going in the right direction. Again, I want to thank everyone for their help. It has really made me feel less alone during this. Be careful, everyone. The second change is on August 27th, 2024. Hey everyone, I've been thinking a lot about my family today because of everything that's been going on. It reminded me of some of my favorite times with them, and one memory stands out. Something from my life that I will never forget. It may not have been long after I was adopted. I was 8 years old at the time. I remember being scared because it was just the second Christmas I spent with my adoptive parents was around Christmas. Every holiday makes me feel weird, even now. Anyway, that year a friend of my dad's ran a Christmas tree farm. My parents chose to go pick out a Christmas tree for me. It seemed like hours went by as we walked through row after row of trees. When my parents kept asking which one I liked best, I felt like I had to pick the best one or Christmas would be ruined. I was able to take my time though because they were so patient. My family made a big deal out of it when I finally pointed out a tree, even though it looked like every other tree. At one point my dad said, "Oh no, I think this tree might be too strong for me," he said, as he knelt down to start cutting. My father told me he couldn't do it on his own and demanded that I come help him. And there I was, this 8-year-old. I'm acting like I'm cutting down this tree with my dad. They made me feel like I was the strongest kid in the world, even though I wasn't really doing anything. My dad said, "We did it," and he picked me up in his arms and spun me around as the tree finally fell. When we got home, my mom took out these old boxes that were full of ornaments and put them on the tree. She told me that we were going to start a new practice where each of us would pick a different ornament for the tree every year to represent an important event from the year in question. That night, they gave me my first ornament. An adorable wooden bear holding a heart shaped like the word family. "This one's for you," my mom said, "since you made our family complete." During the time I held the ornament, I remember feeling a deep love and connection that I had never really felt before. When that happened, I don't think it really hit me how important it was. How that moment changed the way I see myself now. I grew up in a loving family. I was their family. After that, every Christmas we would be the first ones to hang up that little wooden bear. It turned into a habit for us. This memory keeps coming back to me because it makes me realize how lucky I am to have my parents in my life. They gave me more. Not only did they give me a place to live, they also loved and accepted me. Even with everything that's been going on, I know I have something great, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Thank you for letting me share this, though. This made me smile, and I hope it does too. I just wanted to remember myself how great my family is. The next story. When I found my wife's secret writings, I saw that she had been cheating on me with other men for years. I really need help now because I'm still shocked. It's been 10 years since my wife and I, ages 37 and 40, got married. We just enjoyed our anniversary. We have 2 wonderful kids together. We haven't been getting along since the beginning of the year. Since the beginning of the year, she's been acting strangely, getting angry, and ignoring me. Our closeness hasn't grown. She is happy some days and very angry other days. She's not always a bad mom to our kids. Sometimes she hates that they were born. I recently had to see a doctor because I had an infection in my urinary stream. The test showed that it might be an STD. It was a big surprise because I had only been with my wife since we started dating. She is supposedly at a business training abroad right now, which I talked about in a different article I read. Even though she has kept them for more than 10 years, she finally reads her writings out of desperation. It turns out that she has had several sexual partners in the past 2 years. To be more specific, there was an affair that lasted more than a year. It looks like the fact that her partner moved on with someone else made her even more angry. Besides that, I learned that she regularly meets up with other guys and has a secret Tinder account. How sad I am can't be put into words. Because my 2 little kids are the center of my world, I feel totally lost and don't know what to do. Please help me figure out how to go about this. Should I go up to her right away? Should I talk to a lawyer first? How can I deal with this betrayal and keep my kids safe at the same time? I'd value any help you can give me during this very tough time. I value everything you said. Like everyone else says, I'll try to get as soon as possible to talk to a lawyer in private. Get as much proof as I can, treat the STD and test my kids for paternity. I really can't think straight right now because I'm such a mess. My mind is full of different kinds of thoughts. Part of me hates and looks down on her and wishes I had never met her. But another part of me still loves her and wants to forgive her. It's so nice to be gone right now. I appreciate all the good advice and help you've given me. It has been very helpful during this hard time. They were kind enough to offer to watch the kids while my wife went to a meeting after my last piece. They still don't know about all the trouble I've been having. During this time, I read her writings and took pictures of what she wrote in them. Anyway, and felt like a knife to the back. Left me speechless and amazed. I just can't recognize the person I've known for over 10 years as my friend and lover. The most important things that are written in the diaries are so detailed that they are more in depth than any TV show or movie I've ever seen. She has been with at least 6 different guys in the last 2 years. These meetings happened at her supposed workshops as well as over meals, on short business trips, and at other events that seemed to be tied to work. While she was gone, I took care of the kids at home because I thought I was helping her with her work. Some notes, written without any guilt, thank me for being a loving husband and parent and beautifully describe how great these times were for her. I worry about her mental and emotional health because she doesn't feel shame, and how bad her lie was. As I read through the journals, I couldn't help but think about committing suicide. I felt helpless. In the end, I had to spend a few days with my friends because I was afraid of doing something I could never take back if I was left alone. They helped me get in touch with a doctor and gave me a lot of support during this tough time. At the moment, I regularly go to therapy once a week. They also helped me get in touch with divorce lawyers. Besides that, I'm getting care for my STD. It broke my heart to go home from my in-laws after picking up the kids. I couldn't bring myself to smile. My daughter just happened to look at me while I was thinking about all the ways I could end my life. She walked up to me and wrapped her arms around me without not saying anything. I finally broke down, hugged her, and began crying in front of her. I almost couldn't handle the shame of having thought to leave my kids to suffer under their mother's disdain. She's my sweet baby. I had such a hard time sleeping that I had to take sleeping pills for a few weeks after I found out the truth to get through the nights. Both my personal and professional life were hurt by how little drive I had. I pushed myself to keep working out, and I found that it was the only thing that really made me feel better during this time. Thanks to the person who told me in the last piece to stick with my workout plan, you might have saved my life. The more my wife. The more stressed she became after her trip. At first, I had to push aside my dislike for her and the things I knew about how she behaved. I've gotten used to it more recently, but it still makes me feel bad. Even though she said something was off, she still acts like she doesn't know what happened. I can't believe how shameless she is. She recently asked me to get her the expensive gift I had promised for our 10th wedding anniversary. I said I couldn't, because she had to leave for another work trip the day before, which she wrote about in great detail in her journals. Due to treatment, I'm beginning to feel a lot better these days and work out, even though she had planned to see her most recent boyfriend on my birthday. Going to a doctor was something I had never done before, and I really wish I had sooner. A small part of me still thought that maybe I was to blame for everything, even after my wife lied to me in the worst way possible. I was mad at myself for many things. I thought, if only I had done that or done that else. Through her help, I was able to see through it and understand that even though I could have done some things differently, I can't be blamed for the choices she made, and that no one else should have to be lied to like I was. When it comes to flaws, I always put her needs ahead of mine, trust her completely, and take full responsibility for everything. I always let her go after. I told myself that I was supporting her business and letting her get away from the stress of being at home. I also told myself that this is what a supportive husband would do, and that if I had a better job or made her happier, she wouldn't need to leave the house, even though it was really hard for me to work and watch the kids by myself every time she went on one of these trips. Even though things are a lot better now, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't sad at all. These days I'm more angry than sad, and it's the anger that keeps me going. My doctor told me to use my anger to drive me forward in my work, and it has worked out better than I thought. 2 law companies talked to me about my case and told me I needed to find more proof. I have been working hard on this for the last few weeks. She is now done digitizing all of her vast collection of notebooks from the last 2 years. When I got into her computer, I found too many pictures, chat messages, and files to back up what I was saying. She has been posting about all of her adventures on Facebook in a skewed secret group, which I have screenshotted in great detail. I also copied down all the names of the people she had sex with from her journals and looked them up one by one on social media. By gathering as much information as I could,
I was able to find her workplace and the homes of her present sexual partners. I'm now thinking about whether to approach them or not. I thought she might be writing a weird book because of the crazy things I read in these journals until I saw everything else she had on her computer, etc. Maybe I'm also broken. I have to say, though, I'm enjoying putting together all these bits of information and proof, comparing them to her diaries, and finding out as much as I can about her and her loves. I want to share everything I've learned about her on social media to make her famous because a big part of her business is on social media, but I'm holding back because it would hurt her parents, who have been nothing but supportive of me since we met. Got married. I'm not sure if I should tell her parents about this too, since it will ruin them too. I want to face her after talking with the lawyers more about how to make sure I get control of my kids. It is not fair in the country I live in for the mother to get control of her kids, even if she is not fit to care for them. And she also decides how the split will work and how much child support to pay. In any case, I value all of your thoughts. I had no hope and didn't know how to handle the situation a few weeks ago. I feel like I'm slowly but surely getting out of the hole I was put in these days. I'm sorry if I don't answer all of your comments. Right now I'm focusing on my kids only.